We're Batman at 89. Hello and welcome once again to Bat Minute 89, the boxing glove-clad podcast that punches above its weight as we analyse Tim Burton's Batman 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I am the other host, Niall McGowan. And today we are joined by a very special guest, Australian comedian and master of paper puppetry, Bec Hill.
Hey, I like that master. Sound like a supervillain already.
Well, that's your aspiration. There we go. Actually, it would be like a terrifying if you were able to like build like life-size paper puppets that went and like slice people's heads off with paper cuts and stuff. There you go.
Oh, that's a comic book right there.
Yeah.
I actually was doing a kids gig once, because I sometimes do stand up for children as well. And I was showing them one of my flip charts and got a paper cut while I was doing it, and then proceeded to smear blood across all of the preceding pages. It was quite horrific.
So that could be like the spin-off then, though. It was just like the mental scarring of that of the kids seeing that has ended up like creating another supervillain afterwards.
Oh, yes. That's the origin story of the supervillain.
And you'll get like...
We've got it written already.
Yeah, it'll be like Madame Blood or something will come. Like, she just smears blood over everybody. That's her whole thing.
Yeah, thank you for joining us anyway for minute 49 of Batman. And the minute starts... No problem. The minute starts with a quick shot of Vicky, very, very quick, still looking bemused, and it ends with Bruce being an absolute jerk to Alfred yet again.
Well, yeah, at the end of this bit, yeah, he is.
He is. He's a nasty, nasty chap, but we'll get to that.
I'm thinking ahead because I know there is a bit in like the next minutes, or the next 2 minutes, where like Bruce is like, oh, that's a nice moment between Bruce and Alfred.
Spoilers.
Yeah, he's ruining the show for everybody. Niall, get off.
I was going to start giving out because me and John were invited over to the DC cinematic minutes to guest with their stuff, and I was looking at the minutes they sent us last night, and there's a bit with Bruce and Alfred that I've said that I love in that film, and we get the beginning of the scene, and then that's the last bit we get, and it's like, oh, come on, guys. But...
Well, in our show, anyway, we're back at City Hall as we get a brief glimpse of Vicky, that I mentioned before, still very shocked and confused about what's happening.
Yeah, that's the thing, because we get this minute has literally, like, everyone in the film who counts is, like, in this minute. Because we get Vicky, and Knox for, like, a little bit. So, like, have you any opinions on Knox yourself, Becky? Or Bec, that you...
It's because you're saying Vicky so much.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. But are you because we're split on Knox, so like, are you a fan or not so much?
Well, I've been listening to the other ones, and I'm just as split as you guys, to be honest. Like, I don't know. We're going to open a whole can of worms here if we're not careful.
I mean, he's a jerk, but he's lovable, isn't he? Like, he's got a charm.
Yeah, exactly. I don't use the term anti-hero very much. No, I like a flawed character, and I think it's important to have them. I mean, he's not as important, but...
Oh, yeah. And he is kind of deviating from what I've just said, though, being lovable, because he's standing here being kind of creepy, just staring at Vicky there. To
be fair, he's like quite a creepy actor as well.
Oh, yeah, that does not help. That doesn't help at all. But, I mean, they almost just died amidst a gunfight. I know they weren't targeted, but they could have took a bullet. So you think he might want to at least run over, make sure she's okay? Like, oh, are you hit? No, he's just staring at her. It's a bit weird.
Hashtag everyday sexism, am I right?
I think it's just the wound it's still got, like, it's salt on the wound of, like, seeing they've already had this fight about her going out with Bruce Wayne, and then her immediate thing after the shooting was to go over to Bruce Wayne when Knox was there as well, and he's just kind of standing, just like, oh, well, who am I, Although, to be fair, she just might not have seen him. Plus, they did just have a fight. Plus, she is actually going out with this guy who she was stalking to see what he was up to. So it's like, I can kind of understand what's going on here. But Knox's whole, I think his whole relationship with Vicky is just a bit. It's a guy who needs to know when to back off, because she's not giving him any signals of like, come and get it. She's just like, no, like, I'm going out with this guy. Our relationship is entirely, professional, and he seems to be very sore about this, and should be.
Knox strikes me as the guy who in high school was like, oh, why don't all the girls just want to be my friend? And then
the
he's
friend
just really
zone
pissed
guy.
off that like people see him as an equal human being and not someone they want to bone.
The Anthony Michael Hall character in 16 Candles of just like, I'm a nice guy. I'm not one of the bullies. Why won't you go out with me? And then he's just like stealing or trying to get a pair of like a girl's underwear so he can show his friends. And it's like, that's pretty bad guy,
Yeah.
But,
It's always the ones who say they're the nice guy who aren't the nice guy.
yeah.
No, they're not. They're so self-serving, which is Knox basically in a nutshell. He's pretty self-serving.
Yeah. But I mean, Vicky's not been doing anything too different though, because as you said, now she's stalking Bruce, and he's
That's
given her all
true.
these signals. He wants her to back off now. He's trying to push her away.
But anyway, we'll try to leave this toxic relationship and then wander on into something that's not the split second at the very beginning of the minute. Because then we jump to the news broadcast of the mayor and Harvey Dent are down. For some reason, they've been called down to see the bodies get hauled off, which is weird. I don't know if the mayor, like, that's his priority of like, someone got shot, I need to get there straight away. It's...
Do you know what? I've never questioned that, and now that you say it, I've never seen Sadiq Khan just running on down to every murder scene in London. But if he did, you'd be like, oh, he's definitely the killer. Like, if you keep returning to the crime scene after every murder.
It could be.
Yeah, if you want to kill people and get away with it, become mayor in Gotham.
Well, I mean,
and then no one will suspect you.
I mean, there is a film that I've brought up several times where the mayor turns out actually to be the villain, Police Academy 6. So, like, I'll bring it up again.
Not that again.
Police Academy 6, man. Underrated.
Nobody likes it, Niall. Nobody likes it but you.
That's because now we've got this thing, have to get a Simpsons reference in every episode. Now I'm going to have to bring up Police Academy 6 every opportunity. So here it is.
Well, also, I don't know if I fully understand US law. I'm pretty sure I don't. But would the DA also have to go down for all of these things and be asked about Batman on the news?
The only thing I can think is that I guess it's outside City Hall. So maybe they were just in there and they're just like, oh, someone got shot outside. And it's
just on their way to the car.
Yeah. Or they're coming back from lunch and they're like, what the hell is this? But,
well, yeah, because I thought the DA just worked for the courts.
I think it's because we got the Borg deflecting. He's got his deflector shield up, and he's dodging all these questions again about the parade. This is his whole thing. He's like he is just the mayor from Jaws. It's just this, like, the whole thing is his main priority is this parade, and it's like I don't care that there's a shark out there. Those beaches are gonna be open, and like I don't care if there's a gang war. The parade is going forward as planned.
Yeah.
Well, he can't afford to cancel it now because he's bought all those hot dogs.
As you said, like last minute, he did have the hot dog stand out there in front of City Hall to give people a taste. They're like they're gonna know they want it after a little while. So.
He spent all the budget on these things. He's been getting them all ready to go, getting people hooked on them, and now it's all ruined. He's not cancelling it for anything.
No. To be fair, if your local city or town had a 6-foot Batman going around, and then like weird murders by villains and whatnot, do you know what? As the mayor or the DA, I'd probably get down there. I'd probably check it out.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, I mean, I'd want to investigate this.
Well, that's the thing, though, and this gets into what happens later on in this minute. Is that like, yeah, the mayor deflects, and then this reporter asks Harvey Dent about like, oh, do you think the what's the mysterious Batman is a mob enforcer killing these men? Now, Batman wasn't there. Like there wasn't even it was a bunch of mimes. Why are they going automatically to Batman? It's like, oh, it must have been him because like it's.
Yeah, did nobody see the damn clown and mime?
It's just like, I mean, why have you jumped now to like, oh, a bunch of mimes killed somebody. It was Batman. Like it just doesn't make it.
I mean, mimes are notoriously quiet, so they might not know. They might have forgotten already.
Plus, maybe in this city, there's mimes all over the place on a daily basis. It could be mime central.
Well, I mean, they're not ninjas.
It could be.
They are quite visual.
It could just be as well that like people, like they don't understand the costumes. Like when Batman first showed up, he had to kind of announce himself as like, I'm Batman, and they were like, oh, that's a bat outfit. Oh, I didn't get what that was at all. And like this now is just like that's a bunch of stripy black and white shirts with a beret. And it's like,
I just thought there were loads of French people here.
We could have been this. Like the French invasion of Gotham has begun.
That would have been great. And then the Joker's got to write into the paper. No, you've got it all wrong. Well, I also like the way the reporter, he asks the mayor, if the gang war has dampened the city's plans for the festival, because he's calling it a gang war, which means that, leaving Batman out of the equation, the police and the general public must now be assuming that the mimes are a gang of mimes, like in the Warriors or something.
Oh, man. What was that thing? What was that show? It was an Australian show as well, The Tribe. Remember they used to have the really theatrical... That was just as a rip-off of the Warriors, really, wasn't it? But I'm asking, so I'm just back, you're Australian. You must know everything about Australia ever.
No, I actually invented that show. It was my idea. I've never seen it. I don't even know what the original is. The Warriors, did you say? Not like the film.
Oh yeah, the Warriors, the film. Yeah, the roaming street gangs, and they're all really theatrical. Yeah, but there was a.
So the Tribe was a roaming Australian street gang.
No, I think it was a post-apocalyptic thing, which I think the Warriors is as well. But it's like, yeah, there were like different tribes, and they all dressed up really theatrically, and they had like kind of motifs and stuff between them. And like I think I don't know if they roamed, but they definitely like interacted and had like little, but they had like little fights between the gangs and stuff. It was kind of like the Warriors, I guess. I don't know, but I can tell.
It's a bit thoughtless that Australia would have a show about tribes when we pretty much killed them all.
Oh
yes, I didn't even put that
Very
together.
tasteless.
Oh my god.
Maybe that's why no one remembers the show. They're like, oh Christ, we didn't think of that. Let's bury that one.
It was probably only on UK TV. You can't show it over there.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's try.
Anyway, back to Batman.
Yeah.
Well, something else I thought was interesting was that you see the dead bodies being carted off. Like I know they're covered up, but I thought for a Batman movie back then, that was pretty full on. I mean, not as much as you're going to see in the sequel, but that was quite violent.
What was it rated? I'm just having a look because when I was like. Around the same time I watched this film for the first time, I remember my mum also made me watch The Killing Fields.
Oh my god!
And that came out 5 years previously, and I don't know. I think a body with a sheet over it is pretty acceptable.
That's kind of this window into a really traumatic childhood of like my mother made me watch The Killing Fields.
Well, like, she didn't force me, but, like, I had a hairdresser who had, like, survived, she was Cambodian and had survived the Khmer Rouge as a kid and come to Australia. And my mum was like, oh, I want you to see what she had to go through.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
What age were you? Like,
I was 7.
Oh, my God. That's pretty bad. But...
To be fair, I probably, if I'd heard that as a 7-year-old, I probably would have put it on anyway. Because I just watched anything and everything.
Yeah, The Killing Fields sounds awesome.
Yeah, the title sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, we keep going on off on more tangents than usual as well. We're not even made a dent in this minute, and it's like 15 minutes in.
We haven't made a Harvey dent.
Then we get, Harvey Dent again. He's deflecting questions. And I do have a little note here because we try to pepper in little things about Harvey Dent like every time he pops up, and he doesn't pop up too much more in this film, so yep.
No,
but there's been a lot of confusion because I've heard that Ray Liotta from Henry Hill from Goodfellas, he's always been bandied about as like, oh, he was. Some people say I think in Goodfellas Minute, they say, oh, Ray Liotta was up for playing Harvey Dent and he turned it down to make Goodfellas. And then I've heard other people say that, no, he was up for playing the Joker and he turned it down to make Goodfellas. And if you've ever seen Goodfellas and you've seen Ray Liotta laugh, you know that was like the best, like he would have been terrible because like as good an actor as he is, like even in that really famous, like you think I'm funny, like I'm a clown, I'm here to amuse you. Like at the beginning of that scene, Ray Liotta's laugh is like, ha, 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 ha. He's terrible. So it's like if he was the Joker, this film would have been buried. Like it's just...
That would be quite a different Joker.
But apparently, I have got quite recently, he has come out and sort of clarified what happened. Apparently, he was brought in. He did meet with Tim Burton to play Batman. And he said...
What?
Yeah, apparently he was brought in for that part. And he said he turned it down because he was just like, I'm an actor. Like, I can't take this seriously. He thought his mind automatically went to Adam West and just the sheer silliness of the whole situation. Because presumably Ray Liotta has never seen like a sci-fi film or anything like Superman or anything like that. So he was like,
Star Wars?
Yeah,
What's this?
he's just like, what? I have to be like a farm boy in space? What are you talking about? I'm an actor, damn it. I have to play things that only exist. But but yeah, so apparently that's that. Ray Liotta was not up for Harvey Dent. He was up for Batman. But then other people were brought in or allegedly considered for Harvey Dent include Don Johnson, who
we met. I couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, because it's from Miami Vice, and then then Nash Bridges, like years later. But apparently, like I'm thinking because they try to go for like a timeless feel in this film, and then like if you got on Don Johnson, who's like the most 1980s man imaginable. Because as soon as you hear the name, it just goes to like your brain goes to a white jacket with the sleeves rolled up and the hot pink t-shirt. So it's like, yeah, maybe not get in a guy who everyone just automatically associates with the 1980s in your timeless, we don't know what era it is kind of.
It was a smart swerve there. But I mean, I personally always think of him in Nash Bridges because when I used to live in Pakistan, it was on the TV about 10 times a day. And this was in 2002.
There's a little tidbit. Did you know that Nash Bridges was co-created by Hunter S. Thompson?
What?
Apparently him and Don Johnson were like really good friends. And like they came up with this idea for a detective show together. And I think like Hunter S. Thompson's got like a production credit on it. And apparently he does cameo in the show at some point. So
well, why is it crap? Answer me that.
Not everything the guy wrote was
gold,
is it just
like the sunglasses? Is that just he was like, there should be some sunglasses involved at some point?
And give me a credit for that idea.
Yeah.
It's just like lying back in the sofa. It's like, I helped, But apparently there was also a fella called Dale Midkiff who was in Pet Sematary and nothing else that I recognize. So I just don't know if we missed out on anything by Dale Midkiff.
Hey, he could have had an epic performance in him.
It could have been like maybe if he had started that, like Dale Midkiff would be like the Robert Downey Jr. of today or something. But
exactly,
he just never got that chance, tragically.
If you could have cast anyone who was famous in the 80s as recast Batman and Joker and Dent, who would you have cast?
I think my go-to, like, it even stands today, and I think he might have been, maybe he would have been too young, but he would have been, I think he would have been great. For Batman, would have been Kiefer Sutherland. So just like,
yeah,
because now it's like, oh, it's Jack Bauer, but he always had that gravelly intenseness about him, and I could totally imagine him just like, maybe, I know he's quite short, but just like give him a little. So is Michael Keaton, just give him a little boost. But I know he was up for, apparently he was offered, when Robin was in this film, they offered it to Kiefer Sutherland and he turned it down. But, and obviously part never materialized in the film, so.
That's a great pick, though. I mean, for Joker, I keep saying this, I would go with Brad Dourif, who was up for the part. Or Willem Dafoe was also up for it, wasn't he? He would be another interesting.
Yeah.
Well, he made a good Green Goblin, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of similar to the Joker in a lot of
If
ways.
you want to hear us talk about Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin, you can listen to Spider-Man Minute, which we feature on this week. So,
Hey!
actually, as of recording, when this episode comes out, it was a couple of months back when we were on Spider-Man Minute. But who would you go for? Actually, I'll try to think of one of the other people. Like, there's a list as long as your arm for the people who were up for Harvey Dent in this film. That's 2. I'm saving the rest for when we need it, when we were desperate for content. But one of the other people who was up for it was Denzel Washington. And it's like, even today, Denzel Washington could play Harvey Dent for me. He's like, yeah, he'd be perfect. Go ahead. Just go do that. But
Yeah. That'd be a great choice, no matter the era. He's always been good.
But what about you, Bec? Have you been sitting on some choices yourself, or?
I'm trying to think of like people who were big in the 80s. I reckon I would have quite liked to see a Joker played by Tom Cruise.
Ooh.
Like a young Tom, like he was, that was like around Top Gun type of thing. But like he's got that manicness in him that I think would make you really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I can totally picture that.
And
yeah.
a terrifying mouth with his tooth that's in the middle of his face.
It is. It's freaky. If you don't know this, listeners, Google it because it's terrifying.
So that's actually a good shout. Yeah, because Tom Cruise does have, like, no matter how congenial he is, he always has this kind of mania going on behind his eyes, and it's because he's got secrets because of everything he's involved with in his personal life. It's just like, some stuff's gone down here, and like it's like he's not telling everybody everything. So,
but do you think that we're seeing that he could play the Joker in the past now, like retroactively, kind of, because we know all this stuff?
But he still would have played it really well, and then nowadays we'd look back and go, "Oh, that makes so much more sense now."
That's where it comes from. Yeah.
But that's why he wasn't cast, because no one knew of his deep darkness.
Well, people thought that about Heath Ledger, didn't they?
Sure.
True.
When he was cast, people were in uproar, and then it turned out to be one of the best moves they ever made.
Yeah. I'd like to see Bill Murray as Batman.
Oh wait, Niall, I thought you were going to come in because didn't you?
I genuinely for a second thought that you guys had cut off.
I thought Niall was going to come in because don't we have we've mentioned this, haven't we, previously?
Yeah, apparently he was Bill Murray. Apparently there is the persistent rumor that he was in consideration for. I think he himself has come out more recently and been like, that was never a thing. But it's one of those internet rumors that persists, and it's like, I can't imagine it though, because I can't imagine. Even though I've seen Bill Murray busting ghosts, he was the most lethargic of the Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if he has like the drive to go out and be Batman, because like,
I don't know, I think he would, like, with money, he would just breach those gaps with money, you know, like he wouldn't have to move as far, like he could use a grapple hook from his couch rather than go out the window.
Oh, that'd be amazing. He just sees the bat signal, just reaches for the grappling hook, shoots it out the window, and just zooms off the couch like every time.
I just got to get the image of, like, he would have employed a Robin really early on, who like could have been like that, like Dan Aykroyd going and doing all the work for him, and that'd be like that at the bit at the end of Ghostbusters when they're all covered in marshmallow goop, and then Venkman just steps out of nowhere with like the slightest bit of it on his head, and he's just like, oh, I'm fine. Like, I can imagine, like, after a big battle with Robin and the Joker, and then it's just like, oh, Batman, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Just kind of standing there in the outfit.
I got a coffee.
Hey, what if Prince had actually played the Joker?
Oh, wow.
Now,
that would have been something to see.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of Prince's acting, so I'm kind of like, well...
yeah.
So I've sat through Purple Rain, and let me tell you, it is... Purple Rain, the film. Obviously, not the. I've sat through the song. Amazing. I've sat through that album and that song many times. But Purple Rain, the film, it's kind of like a glorious testament to a man's egomania. But it's.
Well, if we're going from Prince, it just makes me think of Ruby Rod from Fifth Element. I'd love to see Chris Tucker as a Joker.
Oh my God! Now that's a great way of taking what I've said and making it sensible. That would be fantastic.
But anyway, I suppose because we've not really started. We're a little bit into the minute now. We're creeping our way through here eventually. Yeah.
This is going to be the best episode ever. Shut up, Niall.
But yeah, from one final thing I will say about this reporter's hat. I was convinced, I had to go and double check, because I was convinced that was the same hat the Joker was wearing when Alicia came home. And he's like, "You'll never believe what happened to me today." And
I
was
got
like,
a job as a
yeah.
reporter.
But I was just like, that's the same damn hat.
It does look like the same hat.
But I've double checked, and like close up, I think it's a different color. So it's like, well, yeah, probably the same.
Well, hers is like a grey sort of felty type.
And his is more. It's more, because the Joker's got a little bit of purple in there. So it's
Yeah.
And I think it might have been potentially the same tailor, by all means. But it's a tailor, costume designer, which obviously it was the same costume designer. So so that I guess that kind of makes sense. But then suddenly, Billy D's beautiful mug is smashed from oh
my God,
a glove from beyond. It's just mashed into his. Well, smashes the whole freaking TV, basically. So.
Oh, it's a TV. Thank God. I thought it was his face.
Yeah. When people do that, like in films and stuff, where they like kick a TV or punch it or shoot it or whatever, I always think that person doesn't know you did that. All you did was ruin your own TV.
Yeah.
You're the loser in this situation. You're going to regret that in the morning.
It reminds me about the story of the Sex Pistols when they were first on TV, and they swore live on TV. And there was a guy in the paper who apparently was so furious he kicked his TV in. It's like, well, they don't care. They don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like that, like, oh, we've cost that man some money.
Yeah, exactly.
But it kind of reminds me as well of there's a season of House of Cards where Doug, like Kevin Spacey's underling, like he wrecks about 5 laptops out of like blind fury. Like he's just like something irritates him and he just wrecks a laptop. And because like I'm, my laptop's like I need this for like because I work from home and I need it to do this as well. It's just like holy Christ, like I need this thing to keep working because if it breaks, like I can afford to fix it, but it's gonna be it's going to be an absolute pain. It's going to make a dent in my finances. So like I treat it like it's made of cobwebs. But like Doug's just like nope, just smashing everything. And I'll watch that season and be like, you asshole, Doug.
Yeah, to be fair.
You never have that scene where they're looking at their bank account and going, I shouldn't have done that. That is a cost I did not need to incur this month.
Yeah, but he's probably the thing about Doug as well, because it's probably like a White House laptop, and it's like, oh, it's a work expense. But at some point, someone in the finance department's gonna be like, Doug, why have you gone through 10 laptops? Like, what are you doing with them?
Maybe that's sport over at the White House. That's what they do for fun. I could imagine Donald Trump doing that for fun, to be fair.
That's just how many White House finances we can just piss through. Like when...
Well, we should.
I've never watched House of Cards, but I'm assuming that every time he ruins a laptop, he does it with a glove on an extender arm.
How else would you do it?
That's a good point.
Well, that's the thing now, because we get to this. The glove is it's part of some sort of giant spring mechanism that the Joker's got lined up, and I'm kind of like, what other purpose does this thing serve? Like, plus, did he make it from scratch? Because it's kind of like, is there a thing that does this anyway, and he's just put a boxing glove on it, or is he had to go and like manufacture this entire like weird? Oh, it's a boxing glove gun, like
Well, I thought about this. I don't think he made it because I don't think he's very hands-on in that kind of way. I reckon Bob, he's a good grafter. He'll get stuck in and make this kind of stuff for the Joker.
Yeah, that's why Bob's hovering there. He's like, oh, he might end up using it today.
Yeah, he wants to see if it works.
It's kind of like...
My dream is to get enough fans that one day my fans like make me weird inventions like that. Like the Wallace and Gromit style.
I know what someone's getting for her birthday this year.
No. You should turn up to a live show, Niall, and just bring one of these along.
Just like mid-set, Bec will be reaching a punchline, and all of a sudden a boxing glove just comes out of the audience.
Yeah, literally a punchline.
Oh, hey! Oh!
I would like to see the scenes of him using it for different things before he realised the only thing it's good for is punching his television. Like he's like trying to brush his teeth, but it keeps reaching too far away from his face.
Or just put the boxing glove on. It's like I've got like 2 busted lips here from both times I use this thing because it keeps just punching me in the face.
He puts an oven glove on the end of it so he can get his turkey out.
Just mashes it into a pulp.
And it's just like,
You ruined Christmas, Joker.
it's like, it's Bob's invention. It's like, hey, I told you it's only for punching TVs, okay? And you still refuse to use it for that purpose.
Oh, I want to see Christmas at the Joker and Bob household.
Yeah, so do I. Let's make it happen, guys. We'll get Tom Cruise on the phone. Or Chris Tucker.
Oh, we do have a lot of love for Boker here, as we call them.
Boker.
But actually, are you a Bob fan, Bec? Or like, because imagine, well, you both got names beginning with B. There are 3 letters. You got to be like kindred spirits, right?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I do actually, because it is coming out. It gets its relevant again this week. But because again with Bob, always try to pepper in this is a little tidbit about Tracy Walter, or just Bob himself. So apparently, Kevin Smith, the director, has said that Bob was actually the inspiration for the name of Silent Bob. Like that's where he got. Like, it was like which makes sense because like, oh yeah, Bob is pretty quiet in this. So yeah, going on to create Silent Bob. But then he said it was also inspired by Bob from Twin Peaks, and it's like,
what?
I don't get that. Like that's
unless is he even remotely like him?
I guess it's just maybe just I really like that name, and those are 2 Bobs I can think of. But it's like, was there another draft of Clerks where like Silent Bob turned out to be some sort of demonic entity or something? But
now that would be a twist. They should bring that into the next one.
Hiding at the end of the bed.
Oh yeah.
Well, aren't they writing a new one?
Yeah. Well, apparently there is one in the works in some way, but like it's been.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, could be. You never know. Maybe like the. Spoilers for the end of this season of Twin Peaks, but like maybe the end of Clerks 3 will just be as baffling as that. It'll just like it's just like, oh, midway through, like everyone became different characters, and like they would just it went really, really, really slow for a while, and then it had a really good ending scene. But,
David Lynch's Clerks. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Apparently, Kevin Smith said that Clerks was originally supposed to be. It was inspired by Twin Peaks in that way that he wanted to make it a really weird, ambient, surrealist film about like weirdos coming into the shop, and it just been a bit of a kind of art movie, and then it just sort of it stumbled backwards into being like Clerks the movie. But
well, I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking, well, he's sure failed at that task, if that's what he was going for.
For sure.
Have you already had a lot of the Bob trivia yet? Just because everyone calls him Bob the Goon, obviously, but I did know that the action figure. Have you said the action figure one yet?
No, not really talked about the action figure actually. So go ahead.
So he's like he's the only sort of Joker henchman who gets his own action figure.
Hey.
And on the action figure's card, it names him as Robert and Crazy Bob Capistrano, even though he's known as Robert Hawkins in the film. And so they just like said, no, this isn't canon.
I feel a bit bad for the whoever came up with this long card name, because it's like that sounds like there was loads of work went into that, and then they're just like, oh yeah, it's like the film's like, no, it's Hawkins. It's always going to be it's Hawkins now. That's it. So
they do that a lot with the Star Wars cards and things like that. They'll invent this great backstory for this character, and then they'll just completely change it in some other media.
But no, they had the Bob action figure. He promises some kind of like, isn't it like a weird karate kick or something he's supposed to, or the power kick, because like Bob,
that's one of them. Yeah,
Bob the Goon with power kick. It's like that power kick is never in this film. You people who made this didn't even watch the film, did you?
Well, in Batman and Robin, they made all of the merch before they wrote the film. Yeah, that's why it's so. But genuinely, they were so excited on the back of the first 2 films that they're like with the other ones, the merch sold so well that they're like, oh, we want to sell more merch. So they did Batman and Robin, and which I think was after Batman Forever.
Yeah, that's the 4th one.
Yeah. And then they designed and started making all the merch, and then the writers had to shoehorn all of the things into the film. Which is why there's so many gadgets and things where you're like, what is the point of that?
Well, that's exactly how I imagined the production of that movie to go, based around selling things.
It's genuinely one of my favorite films, Batman and Robin, because it's so abhorrently bad.
Oh,
I absolutely love it. Like, Mr. Freeze is supposed to have all of these, like, ice puns, but half of them aren't even puns. Like, he doesn't pun. Like, there's a bit where he goes, "What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age." And you're like, that's just a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
It's just a fact.
And plus, now it's a debate. It's like, I thought it was a meteor. Like, at the time, I remember as a kid being like, oh, what about the meteor, man? Where's this? Well, you're just declaring this Ice Age thing. Is that a fact? Like, has that been proven?
Well, I've always
Well, in
wondered.
fairness, the meteor caused the Ice Age.
Yeah.
Because the impact blocked out the sun and made it very cold, causing the Ice Age.
Also, like, you've done
So you're both right.
You've done the research there, but like, no, it wasn't a pun, but it was accurate. So
Yeah.
Obviously, we haven't researched that movie yet because we're not getting to that one for a very long time.
Sorry. I got ahead of myself. Got excited.
I've always wondered if Arnold writes those lines, or if has he got someone writing them for him specifically, or do the writers of the films go, Arnold's in it, we've got to think of some puns, because they're in every movie and they're the same type of pun.
And maybe that's why like they get worse from film to film though, is because he's like when a person finds out like, oh, Arnold's on the movie, they're like, oh, we gotta write him some puns, and then it's just like that's why the quality varies from film to film, because you just genuinely have some bad writers who can't write puns, and then you have like
I love the idea of Arnold just bursting into the writer's room and being like, okay, I've got some jokes. And they're all just too terrified because they're all writers. So, like, I mean, I'm assuming you guys write as well. Like, none of us exercise. We don't like to leave our desks. Like, if Arnold Schwarzenegger burst in with his rippling muscles and was like, you put these jokes in the film, you'd be like, okay.
So imagine, though, because my most debated Arnie pun is from The Running Man. And it's like, maybe I needed you, Bec, to be here to verify what he's saying or whatever. Because what's what he says about... when he kills Sub-Zero, he's like, here lies Sub-Zero, now, Plane Zero. And it's like, Plane Zero is above Sub-Zero. So you've not, like, it's like, that's not diminishing him. That's like saying he's better now that he's...
I've never thought of that before.
Although maybe that's like saying, oh, he's better now he's dead. But I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of that film, though. It's amazing.
Oh, it's great. Like the Running Man in itself is a fantastic film. So,
but back to this movie.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side of this shot, I don't know if you've got it open, so you might not recall. I noticed the Joker has a very intriguing ornament. He appears to have a giant porcelain dog.
Oh, yeah.
What is this and where's it come from? That's what I want to know.
I think it's like a little bit of Joker humor. It's like, oh, this is him knocking about the house, and he has his little pet dog, and it's like, I guess maybe because we see what he does to Alicia later. Like he just sort of does Alicia to him is literally just an object. He's just like this. He doesn't see her as a person. He's like, oh, I can come in and just scar this woman, and then she's this work of art I get to parade around until she's dead, and I don't care. And it's like that kind of thing. So it could be just like, yeah, dog. He has a literal object as a dog because he's like, yeah, there you go. It's just, that's what all these things are to me. It's.
Well, I suppose it's like a killer. They often start killing animals. Maybe this is with his, as he calls it, art. He starts off with animals and progresses to humans.
Yeah, could have been.
I like how much you guys are looking into it. I think that just the set designer went, I'll just grab a bunch of cheap stuff from the vintage store and that'll look wacky.
That could be it. Because like on the way over, like as we go from the glove over to the chair, because you get a little bit of the other, Joker decor, and he's got purple.
He's got like a milk jug.
Yeah, he's got like a over in the far near the TV, but far behind the TV, he's got like a giant pineapple, and it's like he's got loads of lamps, and then he's got
yeah, I like a lamp.
Yeah. But he's got way too many. It's like, how many lamps do you need?
Well, how do you light this place? Let's be honest, Niall. He needs lamps. Where's he plugging them in as well?
That's true enough, I suppose. But he's got his,
It's an electrical nightmare. Actually, if you go to 25 seconds into this minute, you'll notice that there's a candelabra on either hanging down from the ceiling or on the wall, and that's not on. But there's a lamp that is.
Oh yeah.
Could have been he used the candelabra for boxing glove gun practice, and it's broken now. It's like, well, gonna have to buy some more lamps. Or maybe that's what he's planning to do with all the lamps. He's like, oh no, I just knocked them over when I want to turn them off, because it's just like, that's my fun. That's how I get my jollies.
Well, then the Joker brings out yet another amazing line, one of the best lines in the movie. And I know you like it, Niall, so do you want to take it?
What does the Batman, can someone tell me what kind of a world we live in where a man dressed up as a bat gets all of my press? And then follows with, which was to me a very confusing line as a kid, this town needs an enema. Which is...
Yeah, that's the one.
Because as a kid, you're probably like, he means enemy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought when I was a kid.
I thought that. I thought he was saying, well, I'll be the enemy that the town needs.
Yeah, like an enema means like the possessive form of enemy or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Or like I thought it might have been a weird, phenomena kind of thing. Whereas, like, so I guess maybe this is the thing that all people who saw this when they were children are like, what the hell was enema? And it's only in recent years it's been like, oh, that's a good line actually. But
I like the way you say only in recent years, sort of indicating that maybe you've needed one for medical purposes.
I think I only found out what an enema was when I saw what was that TV show that Dave Gorman did, where he had to follow his horoscope, and like at one point they made him.
Yeah.
It said like, oh, you should clear yourself or something like that. So he went and had to get like colonic irrigation done. And I remember when I was watching that as a teenager, and he kept saying enema. I was like, what in the hell? Was that what that means?
You're like, Batman finally makes sense. I can understand this film.
But yeah, and then of course, then he pulls out this party streamer that he just has to hand. And for ages, I was like, why is he just holding a party streamer? But I guess it was because he was watching the news thinking, oh, they're going to be talking about me, and I'll have a little party streamer for when I'm mentioned. And it's like...
But he has his boxing glove just in case he's not.
Yeah, that's the backup.
Exactly, yeah. He's just like, I'm prepared for all situations. But yeah, I guess it was just when he finds out, like, he's going to reappropriate it now. I was like, well, now I've made this enema joke. Hey. But I have to say, in terms of... I think this might be my favorite Joker outfit of the film. I really love what he's wearing here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think it's like, I wasn't a fan of the orange shirt and all that. I'm not a big orange person. And I like the purple and green. And I love these checkers.
It's classic Joker, isn't it?
Mm.
Well, I'm wearing very similar trousers right now, so I approve.
Oh. Are you in like your pajamas though? Because they could pass as pajama bottoms, these things he's wearing, but...
I do have pajamas like that, but no, they're not.
Oh, fair enough. But yeah, I love those trousers, and I love that he's just like, this is Joker in his relaxed time, but he's still dressed up to the nines. Like he's still got the bow tie on and stuff. It's like, dude, you're just knocking about the house. You can kick back a bit, put on.
Well, it's after 6. What is he, a farmer?
But it just seems to me, it's like, yeah, come on, man. It's going to be a lot of tension around your neck there. You just undo it a little bit. But maybe it's just, it's the Joker's thing. It's just like, no, I get up. Once I get dressed, I'm ready for all occasions, ready for business. So
maybe he likes that it's awkward and painful, like those weird Christian sects that wear that thing around their leg.
Oh, it could be.
That like cuts the leg,
But, and yeah, I guess it too is, I'm still wondering, because he's got the gloves on again, and we know the gloves are for the practical purpose of like, they'll have to put makeup on his hands every time. So I guess it's easier that he's just wearing gloves all the time. But it's still a bit like, dude, you're behind you're supposed to be just kicking back. You don't have to, be wearing them all the time as well, unless his hands are like really sensitive from whatever happened to the chemicals, and it's just like, no, I need to wear gloves to protect them or whatever. But we don't know what's going on there. But
I was going to say maybe he's embarrassed about them, but I mean, it is all over his face, so he might as well not care about his hands.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who's embarrassed about anything, to be fair. I think he's pretty
in front of Bob's his lover.
Well, I will say that because, again, to jump from Joker fashion to Bob fashion, these are some high-waisted pants he's wearing right here, man. It's like...
I'm a fan of the high waist.
Really? You know, like the high waist, the jumper tucked, the polo jumper tucked in.
Maybe not that part. Maybe not tucking your jumper in's a step too far for me.
I think this was a thing that like existed in the 80s and 90s, and then just seemed to fade away with time. This whole business of tucking t-shirts and jumpers into your jeans or your trousers, and then it just became
your underpants.
Yeah.
You don't know.
No.
The worst is if you watch Seinfeld, because there's a good few episodes where he's wearing really bad sort of late 80s, early 90s style jeans, but so they're blue but like stonewashed, and then he's tucked a red jumper into them. It's the worst look I've ever seen. And then he's got these giant white trainers.
I think it could be that like we're saying Don Johnson is like the most 1980s man you can think of. Jerry Seinfeld might be like the most 1990s man, because everything about him in terms of his fashion back then was like, that just doesn't exist anymore. Like people don't wear these outfits. They don't have that haircut. Like it's just, you are a remnant of a bygone era now, Jerry. You know. So.
Well, in this again, in Batman, I can't do the sound effect to make us go on topic again. I can't use it anymore.
What?
Sadly, it's deceased. It's deceased.
Oh, what happened?
You can only use it when you're not using Skype, and we're using Skype. Yeah.
Do it with your mouth.
There you go. I like on the part. Is it a party blower or a party horn? I don't know what you call it.
A party streamer, I think.
Party streamer. There you go. The second toot, it just makes it funnier than the first. For some reason, doing it a second time just set me off.
I do love as well that like this is the beginning of one of the few times we see a bit of a crack in Bob, where like he's usually just like, yeah, my old friend's now a crazy clown man, whatever. But this is like this bit, because when he does blow the party streamer at him, he has a momentary kind of steps back for a second, and he is looking at him like, what the hell? Like, what am I supposed to say to any of this? You know, he just doesn't. He doesn't look in his prime here, Bob. It looks like he's starting to get a bit concerned about what's happening.
He's rolled with it pretty well, considering. We should probably move on to the next season, shouldn't we? Yeah.
I will say though, one final thing is that as an added little bit of detail is that when the camera was panning over from the TV, we saw in one of the chairs that Bob had his hat perched on a chair.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, and then we see behind the Joker, he has his perched there as well, which is a man who frequently wears hats. That's a dangerous place to put them, because if you lean back in that chair, that hat's gonna fall. So, and it's gonna get.
It's not really. I wouldn't call it dangerous, to be honest.
So presumably, like what this place look, you know.
We started this minute with a body, and now you're like, oh no, the hats might fall over.
Not the hat.
But I'm just saying, you know, it's just. It's you know, you're gonna get a dusty hat that falls on that presumably hard concrete floor. So,
well, after the danger with the hat, we cut now to Alfred wearing his Starbucks pinny. Yeah. It's proper. It's full on Starbucks green.
And the wonder like what's he been up to? Is this like Alfred? Is this his apron? Is this him? Was he cooking? Is this him? Is dusting a tire? Like what's his deal? What's going on with Alfred over here? You know, but
I think he's just come in from the garden.
Green for green fingers.
Yeah, and we were joking about when Bruce laid down the roses, because we're like, I bet that's probably Alfred's garden. He swiped those from, and it's probably Alfred's out now. I've seen like my bloody roses are gone. He just ripped them out at the root. He didn't even just clip them. He ripped them out at the root.
He's been replanting them, and Bruce will just rip some more up.
And this is him now, like pouring himself a nice stiff drink. You know, we're assuming it's water, but it could have been a
pure vodka.
Yeah.
Well, I did have that as a question, right? Because if it's water, that is the smallest glass of water I've ever seen anyone pour. Like, you down that in less than a gulp. So maybe it is vodka. Maybe he has a jug of vodka in the house.
Yeah. But, and of course then doesn't even get to enjoy it because Bruce just swaggers in, wipes it out of his hand.
and ditches his coat on him.
We get, you know, Alfred's and the stoic reaction of Bruce has come in. He's swiped his drink, and then he's he hands him a coat, and then Alfred, doesn't miss a beat. He's just sort of fingering this bullet hole he's found on the on the coat, and then it's just cool as a cucumber. Is just like, oh, I'm relieved that you're home, sir. Like
I don't think that Bruce has swiped Alfred's drink. I think Alfred knows that he's about to come in and ask. Like, he's such a good butler. He knows he's about to come in and ask for water. That's why when he takes it, he's like, "Can I have a glass of water?" Oh, like it's almost like, "Oh, you read my mind, Alfred."
Maybe this is how he greets him every day.
He's an amazing butler, and nothing surprises him.
Of all the Alfreds, Bec, would you say is Michael Goff is he your go-to Alfred?
I think he's a really solid Alfred. I do really like Michael Caine in the Nolan one, but that's just because I really like Michael Caine as a person. It's hard for me to differentiate, but I do think Michael Goff makes probably exactly who you imagine Alfred to be.
Yes, he's perfect in my eyes for it.
Yeah. Like Jeremy Irons was quite good in the recent one, but even so, I don't really remember him. It doesn't stick out in my mind.
Well, I think that's probably the movie that he's in.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, true.
But I was a big fan of, I thought like of anything in Batman versus Superman, Jeremy Irons was like the saving grace of the film. It was...
Yeah.
But yeah, and we find out then Bruce goes and just plants himself on the sofa, and Alfred has his Miss Vale called. She was quite concerned, and then but the thing is like, what's the time frame here? Because like Vicky Vale, but she just instantly call Wayne Manor as soon as everything. She just saw Bruce Wayne. I'll call his house. I was like, he's not going to be back there. Are you crazy? Of course you're going to get Alfred. Like, what are you thinking? Or has Bruce been out and about for like hours? Or, has this been like, this could be like the next day. He went on a bender afterwards or something.
He's been out just getting drunk.
Yeah. It's like, wow, I've seen that guy I thought I killed. Oh, well, I better, got to go tie one on. But
I love as well, he clutches at his head, which I think is just supposed to be, he's had a stressful day. But he does it as soon as Alfred says, Miss Vale telephoned. Yeah. It's almost like, no, not again. He's really rude to her, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's what he's doing.
In terms of all the actual notes on action, that's all I've got. But have either of you two, have you got something else you want to throw in about the minutes? Or
no, I think we pretty much covered everything.
Yeah. The only other thing I noticed was on the left-hand side there. Looks like, I'm hoping it's like a sweet tray or something, but it looks a bit like an ashtray. So I'm worried about Bruce. He shouldn't be smoking if he's this athletic, Cut it out, Bruce.
Could be Alfred again though, because be like, this is his afternoon vodka. He's gonna light up, and now it's like, oh damn it, Master Wayne's back. And it's just a good.
Just a bit of Netflix and chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever the 89 equivalent was, anyway.
This was, I don't know, be like Falcon Crest and chill or whatever. I suppose now there'll be the time, like, because Becky kind of got in a little bit of your history with the film, where your mother would make you watch this and then make you watch The Killing Fields. But like, is there any like what is your history with this film? Like, because I know you did a stand-up set. Wasn't it called something like "If You Can Read This, My Cape Fell Off"? Which
my first solo show was an hour of me teaching the audience how to become a superhero.
So I take it like, and would that make it safe to assume then that like this, if you grew up with this Batman and superheroes in general, then that's a big part of your life? Or
yeah, well, actually, so this film came out when I was 3, and we were living in Hong Kong at the time, so I don't really remember it. I remember watching it in primary school with like friends and stuff, but. And I remember I really liked it because it was, it's mainly the Joker, to be honest. Like, as a kid, I just found him funny. Even though he's so evil, you're like, oh, it's the man with a funny face. I did like this film, but it's actually not, it's it doesn't mean as much to me. Superman, however, was like the big superhero one for me. Superman 2, in fact.
That's a better choice.
Yeah, I
think, than
loved
one.
Superman 2. Absolutely adored it. To the point that I went to Paris for the first time in my life about 3 years ago. And I didn't think I cared that. Like, I've never romanticized Paris and never been like, but my friend was going there and I sort of got it as a treat for her. And we went to the Eiffel Tower and I suddenly like had this huge nostalgia for the opening scenes of Superman 2 and just realized like how much of an effect that film had on me. But also like Superman 2 made me like Paris.
Oh.
As soon as I saw the Eiffel Tower, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's like that bit where he saves Lois.
That's the thing. Like when you watch Superman for the Quest for Peace and then went to Milton Keynes and saw the bus station, where you're like, it's the UN building from Superman 4. Like,
woo!
It's just like I've just got this really romanticized view of Milton Keynes now. It was amazing.
Yeah, I think in terms of I found these films a bit too like the other one with Riddler and that sort of thing. I found them all a little bit too in between wanting to be dark and wanting to be jokey. And I think I prefer either for it to be full Adam West or full Nolan. Like, I find anything in between not as I either want it to feel real or ridiculous. And I found that these straddled that too much for me, which I know is the selling point for a lot of people. But that's why I love Batman and Robin, because it's terrible and hilarious and just awful. And I love the Nolan ones because they feel like they're sort of, their foot is firmly in science. And even though the Joker in Dark Knight is ridiculous, he's still really, he's so creepy. You could sort of imagine someone being like that.
Mm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas I think Jack Nicholson's a bit too cartoony in this. So yeah. So it's not that I don't like it, but it's not had as big effect on me as the other films. So bring me back when you're doing the other ones.
Oh yeah. Oh, of course. When we get to, it'll be 3 years before we get to Batman and Robin, but we will be doing Batman Returns next year if you want to come back to talk about some Danny DeVito Penguin action.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And one thing I have been asking since it was brought, because now it's become more of a genuine question for me, because I've been asking all the lady guests, and I probably should be asking the male guests as well, just to see. But Jack Nicholson, because I was always under the impression that Jack Nicholson was considered to be really sexy when I was a kid, but you as a red-blooded, I'm presuming, cisgender woman, because you're married to a man, so I'm going to assume that. But what's your opinion?
Straight cisgender, yeah.
Yeah. What's your opinion of the Jack Nicholson? Do you find him attractive, or do you like? So where do you land on the Nicholson meter?
I've never understood people who find him attractive.
What?
Ever.
Yeah.
And I think it's not his looks, because I've certainly found people of the same level or lower looks attractive. I think I just find him a bit too creepy, and quite often, and I suspect he might be like this in real life, quite often he plays a character who expects women to like him, and I find that a real turn off, like, immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that vibe, definitely. I can see that. But yes, we will head off into that Dark Knight now. We'd better do. It's getting on. Before we do go, though, Bec, would you like to advertise or promote anything you're involved in at the moment?
Yeah, I've got a few. I'm sort of touring around a lot, so no matter where you're listening from, it's always worth checking out my website, BecHillComedian.com, or Be Chill Comedian if you're reading it wrong. And there's a gig section in there, which I try and keep up to date as much as possible. Or you can go to the Contact Me section of the website and sign up to my newsletter. I only send out about 4 a year, but I try and put all tour dates and stuff up there. So I'm going to be sort of around in Dublin and Belfast and Cork at the end of this month and early next month. And then who knows, might even get some gigs in Hong Kong in January next year. So hit me up and find me on Twitter, etc.
Make sure to check that out, everybody listening. And unfortunately, that's all from us on our longest episode ever. I'm sure it still will be, even when we've edited it down, but that's fine. So make sure to join us again when we'll be back for minute 50 of Batman, and get in touch with us on the Facebook group, the Batminute 89 Listeners Society, or you can tweet us at Batminute 89, and also check out our Instagram and our Tumblr as well. So yes, join us again next time for minute 50 of Batminute 89.
Next time, geriatric guidance. As Bruce's doting domestic discusses dating and destiny, will the conversation turn from romance to necromance as our maudlin muckraker mulls over Napier's mutation from moderate mafioso to malicious post-mortem mirthmaker? Find out Wednesday, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.